Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another video. Today's video is going to be a review of a zombie movie that I came upon on Amazon here this last weekend. I was just kind of looking for something to watch. I was kind of burned out on everything previously and just looking for anything that was apocalyptic-y, zombies, anything. Those shows, those movies are just my jam. I love those movies, obviously, for having a channel that is pretty much a Walking Dead channel. And I was just looking for something new, and I came upon a movie that came out in 2015, and I vaguely remember it when it was announced and when it was in theaters and whatnot. This movie is called Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and I wasn't real sure what I was getting into, but it was just something I also kind of planned on just having in the background, just something to have some background noise, and I got sucked in. And I laughed my ass off at this movie. I loved this movie. This movie, the best way I can describe it, is basically super bad with zombies. So it was right down my alley of the type of humor and everything about just the zombies and just the characters themselves. The main characters were just hilarious. It was a great story, great cast, and it was just the humor that I was really into, especially about the time that Superbad came out back in like 2008. This movie, like I mentioned, came out in 2015. I kind of remember when it was announced and when it was in theaters and the previews and whatnot, but it just never caught my attention so much that I had to sit down and watch it. But I sat down, I got sucked in, and it was hilarious. This movie stars Ty Sheridan as Ben Gowdy, Logan Miller as Carter Grant, and Joey Morgan as Augie Foster as the three main guy characters. It's about these three friends that are, they've been friends since they were kids. They grew up in the Boy Scouts. They're doing that thing, but they've hit their junior year of high school. And the two characters, Carter and Ben, they've kind of hit that point, more so in Carter's side, where they're juniors in high school. They're guys. They're only interested in one thing: girls. And the premise just gets kind of set up where these guys are wanting to ditch out on this Boy Scout thing with their friend Augie, who's still really into it. He really is digging the whole Scout thing. That's his kind of way of life. And they're planning to go out on the Scout thing with their Scoutmaster and everything. And they want to ditch out on it in the middle of the night. They want to sneak away and go to this party. And so the whole thing kind of starts off as them trying to get to this party, and they're out in the woods and they go to ditch this thing. And in the process of doing so, they of course piss off their friend Augie, who feels like they're abandoning him. But they go into town and realize the town is completely abandoned, it's completely desolate and everything. And it just kind of goes from there. It's this whole adventure of these guys trying to get to this party, and Augie at some point comes to their rescue, which is really cool. And just the movie is just hilarious. You got a lot of stuff going on. You got your typical high school guys talking about girls, getting laid, all that kind of stuff. And they're trying to get to this party, and things just fall apart. The town gets overrun. And one of the people that actually helps them is a bartender from the strip club they're trying to get into, too. So they have a moment there in the strip club. And not only that, this movie has a lot of familiar faces too. Like a lot of people from different shows, different movies, people that have been acting for a very long time. You had David Koechner, who had done The Office. He had done Out Cold. He had done Anchorman. He's done a lot of stuff. He plays the Scoutmaster who does get himself killed and turn into a zombie, and he kind of appears throughout the movie in these really weird ways. And then you have Blake Anderson, who is famous for his role in Workaholics. He plays this janitor in the beginning of the movie, who is one of the people that gets killed and spreads the zombie disease because he's a janitor in this lab, of course, and they have an outbreak from this lab. Then you have Matty Carter-Ropel. He's done various things too, but the one thing that pops out in my head when I see him and when I realized it was him was he was in Stranger Things. He worked in the video store, he worked in the arcade, and we saw him pop up a couple times, but then he just kind of randomly shows up. He's a jawless zombie, which was very weird, but very funny at the same time, just seeing him in this. Then you have Patrick Schwarzenegger. That kind of gives it away right there. The last name definitely gives it away. And then a big one that I really enjoyed seeing, and this woman at the time was in her 80s. She'd been working in Hollywood for many years. She's been in so many things. She was Young Frankenstein, Raising Hope, Blue Mountain State, The Croods. She had done a lot of stuff, and that was Cloris Leachman. I was just so blown away by just the amount of random people they had in this movie, but I'd seen her in multiple things over the years, and she's hilarious. She just seemed like she would have been a fun woman to work with and just hang out with. She just had that She'd just done so many different raunchy things over the years, Blue Mountain State being one of them, which was a short-lived show about college football. She plays kind of a horny old lady in that show, and just she had done so many different things, and especially in Raising Hope, that was another short-lived show. Unfortunately, it ran for about 3 or 4 seasons. She plays this grandma who's just kind of out of her mind, and just does these random things, and just she's very, not lucid by any means. But unfortunately, she did pass in 2021. But the movie as a whole, as I mentioned, it was something that I was just looking for to kind of pass some time, and I really got sucked in. I really enjoyed this movie. It was just so funny, and just again, it was super bad with zombies is the best way I can describe it, and it kind of a Shaun of the Dead vibe to it, with younger characters and just these guys trying to get to this party and then stepping up to take care of the zombies in their town to wipe out this threats while they're dealing with all these other things along the way. You have them trying to find their friend Augie, and then you have the woman that's also helping them just kind of being kind of a distraction because she's a very attractive woman, and just you have all kinds of things going on. It was just a very fun, enjoyable movie. Definitely not for kids by any means. It's definitely an adult movie because you do have some nudity and things in there, but it was a very funny movie. I really enjoyed it. It's just one of those happy accidents, I guess, with movies where you kind of put something on as background noise and it just sucks you in. But I definitely recommend this movie if you are into that kind of raunchy type of sense of humor and everything, and just the graphic type of stuff that's in it. It's a really funny movie, and I definitely recommend it if you are unaware of it, or if you're like me, it kind of flew under the radar there, where I vaguely remember when it was advertised and everything, and kind of when it was in theaters, and then just forgot completely about it. But I definitely recommend it if you have the time. Check it out. It's a really funny movie. But anyways, guys, that's just my quick review I wanted to do of a zombie movie. It was just kind of my random ones. Another show that I would recommend, I think it's a short-lived show just because it kind of does a lot of time hopping, which is called Earth Abides. It's also, I want to say, on Amazon Prime. But if you guys have any recommendations for any zombie movies or anything like that, please send them my way. But if you like the content, please leave likes, leave comments, and of course, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. So take care. Bye.